So in this video we're going to look more into my filter system. Now I made one of these videos a few years ago, and I found recently, because we've got lots and lots more new subscribers on, is I'm getting more questions asked about what my filter system is, how it works, why I got it, how I've covered it over, what the setup is, and so on and so forth. So I thought what I'd do is put an updated video out on exactly answering those questions. So let's crack on. So question one, what kind of filter system do you use? Now I use a Cockney Koi 10,000 litre multi-bay system. This is based on 5 bays, the first bay being a vortex, the second bay being the bay that all the brushes are in. Now they take out all the poo, all the big bits, all the non-biological waste. And then bay 3 is a moving bed. Bay 4 and 5 have Jap matting in them. Now they're all the biological bays, so I have 2 bays to begin with that manage all the poo and the solid waste, and then the last 3 bays are more biological, but still remove some of the waste, because in bay 4 I put some filter floss, which helps just take out a few fines, stops them recycling in the pond, and helps with the clarity of the pond. Now a little bit of history for you about this filter is, the first Cockney Koi multi-bay filter system was created back in the 1990s as a high quality multi-chambered fiberglass filter for koi ponds, offering both mechanical and biological filtration in a single freestanding filter system. Now this particular type of filter can come in a number of different sizes. You've got sort of 8,000 litre, 10,000 litre, 20,000 litre, and so on. Some of them have the vortex at the beginning, which I believe, and again comment if you know better than me below, was brought to this country by a guy called Peter Waddington, who back in his day was sort of the koi guru. He used to spend a lot of time in Japan learning and bringing their ideas over to this country. And again, I believe, comment below, is that he collaborated with Cockney Koi to get the vortex system placed on the front end of these filter systems. Now these kind of systems can be quite versatile, because each chamber typically houses a different kind of media, if that's what you want. It's just that I've chosen to I've played around with this system for the first maybe couple of years that I had it, as the system was maturing, and I've come up with the system I had now. When I originally had it, it did have the brushes in the second bay, it had sponges in the third, and then it had sort of these Flowfex, I forgot what they call them now, which are these bits of old piping. Now if you've got these in your filter system, you might as well bin these, because I don't know how I found this, to be honest. It was just under the filter, then one must have fallen out when I first had the filter many years ago. So these are pretty rubbish. I never had any success with these, and I think I spoke to a number of people that said scrap them and put something else in. So these come standard in your filter, but if you've got them, scrap them. Now the design of these multi-bays can be adapted to either be gravity fed, which is what my filter system is, where your filter is placed at the same level as the water level in your pond, and then the water's pumped at the end back into the pond. Or you can do it pump fed, where you actually pump from the pond into the filter itself, so your pump can be at the beginning or it can be at the end. The advantage I found with it being at the end is that you don't get a lot of waste getting stuck, so it's very, very rare you have to keep taking your pump out to clean it. So with the multi-bays, you can add on at the beginning or at the end as much as you want, because if you want more filtration into your pond, just add it on. So by removing waste and housing beneficial bacteria, this filter prevents the build-up of harmful toxins and keeps the pond clean and safe for the fish. So another question to answer is, how did you box this filter system in? So because of its location, I didn't want to be able to see the filter system. I've always been a believer that you see your pond, but don't see your filter system, because there's no need for that. I always like to hide them away in the background. So I decided to box this filter system in and then paint it the same colour as the fence lining, so it kind of blended in. Now if you buy these units new, you can buy them either with the biomedia, which usually comes as standard with an empty vortex, brushes in the middle bay, and then you've got those little Flotex, Orchintoma black media, whatever they call them, and then you'll usually have some sponges in there, and that's about it. So that'll be your starter pack, so you can get that if you buy these things new. But there's loads of places on the internet, on eBay I've looked, where you can always buy these filter systems. They're kind of readily available as people start up and then they close down their ponds and then put these kind of systems in. So how does my system work? Well, because it's a gravity fed system, the water goes out through the bottom drain, along the bottom drain pipe, up across into the filter system, through the shut-off valve, and then up into the vortex. All the large poop stuff, and then from there into the brushes system, which again, it's still doing the biological bit. The water then goes down and up through the bottom and up through the moving bed, which has 24/7 air moving through it, pops out the top of there, down into some jack matting, where on the top of there is layered the filter floss, which catches a lot of the fines and continues to catch them. But I always find with the filter floss is that if you have got filter floss in, you have to keep an eye on it, because it does block up really quick. The water then goes down through the jack matting, pops up through the last bay of jack matting, through the final pipe, down through the pump, back up from the pump, through the UV, and then back and into the pond. Now, what about cleaning these systems? How often do I clean it, and how do I clean it, and what do I clean? So typically I only clean the first 2 bays on a regular basis. I kind of leave the biological bits, which is a moving bed and the 2 jack mattings, to basically just get on with themselves, because I've removed a lot of the poop in the first 2 bays. So the last 3 bays don't get blocked up very often. So I may clean them out with a bit of pond water, wash through them maybe twice a year. Once somewhere just in the middle of summer, when there's a lot of heavy feeding going on, and then once at the end of the season, just before the winter, and I close the pond down. I always like to do a bit of a cleanup around the side of the filter system as well, because you do get a lot of splashed waste up on the side, so I just get the sponge that I've used in the pond and give it a nice little wipe over. So that all the sides are nice and clean. And then the filter itself is back to spick and span. But Andy, what if you have a really bad rainstorm one day and the pond goes to overflow? I hear you ask. So what I did to combat that was put in an overflow system. So basically this is based right slap bang in the middle of the moving media bed, and then I've had to put this little filter holder there so that it stops any of the media floating over and going down in the hole, and this then comes down into the waste pipe, and then off it goes to the grid. And I can adjust this either left or right. I can turn it down if I wanted less water in the filter system or in the pond, or I can turn it up like it's on maximum now and get maximum intake into the pond. My trickle-in system is also placed it directly into the filter system, not into the pond. I used to put it into the pond at the top end, but I found it was easier to house the water filters to remove the chlorine and hide them away in here rather than having down the side of the pond. So the water just comes straight into here, and also put it into the last bay so that it doesn't affect any of the media. Should we get some chlorine sneak through in there, it's just basically straight down, straight into the pond. The UV system I've got is a 55 watt UV system, and this is, the water goes through this on its way back to the pond. Now if you were pump fed, you'd have this on before the filter system, so you'd be pumping through your UV. And again, another advantage of having the gravity fed system is that you don't get a lot of waste stuck or caught in the UV system, because this is the last thing the water goes through before it heads into the pond. Now I've been threatening to put some upgrades on this system for a long time, just to add that little bit more filtration, because you can never have too much filtration. I suppose you can be over the top sometimes and put a number of filtration systems in, but there's so many different other kinds of filter system out there. You've got your drum filters, you've got your Nexus, you've got your sieves, lots and lots of different ways to filter your water from your pond, and a lot of it's down to personal preference really. It's just that I chose this system because I wanted to be part of the system. You know, you have to get your hands dirty with this, and you have to get in there and keep an eye on what's going on, which keeps you involved with the pond, in my eyes. So there you go, that's how my filter system works. That's what it is, that's how it works, that's how I clean it, and that's how I do it. So thanks very much for watching. If you've enjoyed the video, please subscribe, share, ding the bell for notifications, and click the like, because that makes all the difference to the algorithms. And I'm getting wet, better go now, bye!